So next we're going to make our cranberry sauce. And
I love homemade cranberry sauce.
We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to add some vodka to it.
All right.
Okay. You don't have to add the vodka, so if you don't want the alcohol in it, by all means don't worry about adding it. And I don't like to add the alcohol until it's in the simmering stage of things, so I'm not going to cook all of it off.
Well, you're not going to cook it all off.
I'm not going to cook it all off.
So if you're serving this to kids, you probably don't want to have
You probably don't want to add it to it, or you would add in the beginning at the boil stage.
Correct.
Okay. So what we have here is we're going to use a cup of orange juice and 3/4 cup of water. Okay.
And we've added that to the pot
already. We've added that in the pot. We've started to heat it up. We're going to add in 3/4 cup of sugar. We're just using granulated sugar. Grab my whisk here. Okay.
Well, there's a couple other little sneaky things you got going on over there.
Yes.
For this.
So we're using fresh cranberries today. If you have frozen cranberries, you can use frozen cranberries. Okay, and you don't have to worry about thawing them. It's not going to hurt to throw them in frozen.
Now, do frozen cranberries have more moisture in them
They
because
do
they're
have.
frozen? So should you adjust your water a little bit, or do you just kind of let her fly?
I don't think it would hurt that much for the amount of moisture that is in the cranberries. But at the end of this, if we're going to use gelatin today, and if you didn't want to use gelatin to thicken it, then I probably would reduce the water a little bit if you're going to use frozen cranberries. Okay. So we've got the cranberries in there. And then we've got one medium apple that I've already sliced and diced and taken the skin off of.
Now, what kind of apple?
I used just a Gala apple today.
A Gala, okay.
Yeah.
So not a Granny Smith. Or could you use a Granny Smith?
You could use whichever. I mean, each apple is going to add a little bit more tartness to it. So depends if you like it a little bit sweeter. You can add a little bit more sugar to it if you don't like a really cranberry sauce with a lot of bite to it. Okay.
Tart.
Yes,
Cranberry.
that's the word, tart. Okay. So while this is on here, what we're going to do is we're going to zest one orange.
Okay.
Okay. And I have a microplane. Now, if you don't have a microplane and you're using a zester, that's fine as well.
Yep.
The only thing that you might find is that you have to chop up the zest a little bit because the pieces are a little bit big.
Right.
Okay. So when you're zesting an orange, you want to make sure that you don't go down to the white part, which is the pith, because that's the part that makes something really bitter.
You just want the nice robust flavor.
Yes. We want all the oils from the orange going right in there. And I've already pre-washed this orange just to make sure there's nothing on the outside. I gave it a good scrub in the water. So, okay. So this part, what we're going to do is we're going to bring this to a boil. And then once it boils, we're going to let it simmer for 15 minutes. And then we're going to add some gelatin into it. And I'm going to add my vodka at that stage.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, because the cranberries are fresh and they're nice and firm right now, do we need to do anything with them after they simmer for a while? Do we need to mash them or anything?
No,
or
they're going to cook down. They're going to
themselves?
break down a little bit, but there's going to be some whole cranberries as well. I'm not one that likes cranberry jelly. I like substance to my cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
So if you prefer something that's a little more broken down, then you could put it in a food processor afterwards, but let it cool a little bit first.
Right.
Okay. So we've just about got all the zest that we're going to use. And this orange, if you're not going to use the orange juice from the orange, which you could instead of using store-bought orange juice, then you can just wrap it with some saran wrap in the fridge, and it'll keep for a day in the fridge.
Okay.
Okay.
So you could zest the orange first and then cut it and obviously use the orange juice, the fresh squeezed orange juice. Okay.
Right, and you always want to zest the orange first before you cut it. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is going to simmer, and while this is simmering, what do you have in store for me next?
Well, we are going to make a caramel apple pie martini. So we're going to start off and we're going to make some caramel sauce today.
Okay.
We're going to make kind of a mock caramel sauce, and this caramel sauce is a little bit different. You can keep it in the fridge for up to 2 weeks and warm it in the microwave as you need it.
Awesome. So you can use it for other things other than your caramel martini that we're making today.
Yeah, it works great on top of ice cream, or you can use it, send it to school with the kids. They can dip apples in it.
Very cool. Let's begin.
Okay. So we're going to use 1/2 cup of evaporated milk. tricked you. Put it in the pot. Okay. 1 3/4 cup brown sugar. And 1 cup of butter.
All right.
And this is an all-in recipe, so it makes it really easy.
Doesn't matter what order you put them in there?
No.
You can just mix them up
Yeah,
any way you want.
Doesn't matter.
Great. I like that because, you know, sometimes I don't follow the instructions properly. So it's nice when I can just put them all in one shot and everything works out in the end.
You don't have to worry about it, yeah. So you're just going to mix it over medium heat until everything comes together. You're going to bring it to a boil.
Okay.
And then after it boils, you're going to turn it down and you're going to let it simmer for 2 minutes.
Very good. This reminds me actually of my mother's homemade pancake syrup recipe. It's very close. So one episode we might have to pull out the pancakes and make a homemade recipe or homemade syrup as well.
This would be a really good treat on top of
Yes,
pancakes.
it would be. The idea is to keep stirring it throughout, correct? You don't let it just sit and start to boil?
Right. You want everything to be incorporated, so the butter is slowly melting here, the cream is mixing in. If you just let it sit, the butter's just gonna melt on top and give you a layer. So you want to make sure that it's well incorporated at this point.
And you don't want to burn the brown sugar either, right?
Yes.
So we're going to simmer it for a couple of minutes after it comes to a boil. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to take it off and just cool it?
Yep, we're going to cool it on the counter for a little bit, and then we're going to put it in the fridge.
Okay.
And like I said, we can leave it in there for 2 weeks, and then as you need it, you can just pull it out and microwave it just for 15 seconds just to warm it up.
Okay.
And today, for the